right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a video on a little bit of my learning from a shiur, a teaching that my rabbi Yaron Rubin um, made on August 17, 2025, titled "The Hierarchy of Creation." Um, so I think one, and again, I'm a Noahide, so I just to put that position out there where I'm coming from. But I think one of the questions we have to ask is why the Torah? Why the Jewish people? Why Am Israel? Why Orthodox Judaism? And so I'm gonna just kind of, this is not necessarily, some of these things are not necessarily in the shiur, but they're just how I'm learning this. So please take that into consideration. This is some of this is my opinion, through research, of course, and stuff like that. But you have Israel being the center of West Asia and East Asia, basically the East and the West. Israel is the center, and we have to understand that Western society, all of our laws come from essentially Sumeria, Babylon, Egypt. That's Western civilization essentially. And then you have Eastern civilization, starting with the Vedic and the Dravidians and the Chinese philosophies, right? So and laws and systems, right? So Israel's right in the center of that, and Abraham, and that's the key, is Abraham is the source of the key that we need to look at. So it's love and obedience ultimately that Abraham is providing for this. Now, I understand that in my head I know exactly what's going on, right? But I'm trying to make these videos also accessible for everyone, to explain to everyone why the Torah, why Am Israel, why the Jewish people, why Orthodox Judaism, etc. And then me being as a Noahide, that's so how am I explaining this? So Abraham, the concept of one, right? The concept of one God is not unique to Abraham. It existed, it's always existed, and it exists in every theology. It's one of the most ancient theological positions, the concept of one. But Abraham, in the time during when he arrived, was at a time where before Plato, before a lot of key important Western developments. So I think that's and before Plato, and even before Lao Tzu's writings. Forgive me, I forget the precise names, but this, you can go into research and you find that it's a very pinnacle period when he came about, and he's talking about oneness, right? So this ancient concept, but more than that, this is my personal opinion. There's in my research, I found no religion or philosophy that attaches themselves to the one with love and obedience, with a personal relationship to the one. And I think that's the key: love and obedience. And again, this is just from my research. I'm not saying, I know this. I'm saying this is from my research, from seeing the different religions. Like, for example, if you take Platonism, which speaks about, especially Neoplatonism, but even Platonism, I would argue, speaks about the one. Not argue, it does. I've been reading modernist theories. Anyways, it's love and obedience. I think that is what Israel, what the Jewish people bring to the table when it comes to oneness. So that being said, love and obedience to the one is the unique contribution of Israel, right? Of the center of the earth, right? And so that is the key. Now, to cap this off, the teaching of the Shir is, does man know good? That's one of the key teachings. Let me make sure is that the one I'm watching? So let's make sure. Yeah, hierarchy of creation. So that's it. And so what makes humans the pinnacle of civilization? And the key is da'at, chokmah, and bina. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And da'at, knowledge, but da'at in the Jewish sense, not in the necessarily Western sense. That is after the culmination of chokmah and bina. Then comes da'at, then comes that real knowledge of in the flesh of God. And so da'at is the true path. It's that true path that leads us away from harsh judgment, harsh wrath, synchronistic wrath, harsh judgment, bad outcomes, bad faith, bad fortune, right? And it provides us with the greatest good, which is spiritual and psychological growth, which is the Shekinah. But we don't have concept of what the Shekinah is, right? But that's what that is. And does man know good? I think Plato has settled this before. Western philosophy has settled this already, and pretty much no. And Eastern philosophy has settled this, and it's pretty much no. And so here again, this is the Torah letting us know that yes, man does not truly know what good is. And to align yourself with that good, right, is to rise above your instinct, which is the source of da'at, and which is good. And so that's the point of the shir, is that in order to become good, we need to overcome our animal instincts. And in particular, the Torah and the Jewish people and the Torah is the blueprint of creation, because the one, and this is all philosophy, or my opinion. The Torah and the one, right, is the highest manifestation of the one's purpose, which is love and obedience, not just understanding the one or knowing of the one, which many other mountains do because of their height and their majesticness, like the Hindu mountain or the Greek mountain. These are very beautiful mountains, but they weren't humble and they weren't in love with the one like Am Israel. And so, that's why the Torah, in going beyond our instincts, is the real blueprint, not just our own, like a Greek philosopher, for example, going above his instincts. The Torah is the highest blueprint of that. The end.